Hello, this is a video lesson that's going to be overviewing our next literary work, which is Everyman, the Morality Play. Now, you'll notice our last literary work was Hymn to the Sun, written by Akhenaten, remember, born Amenhotep IV. Now, Amenhotep IV's poem, Hymn to the Sun, it was a religious hymn where he was praising his monotheistic god Aten, the sun disk. Now, we are actually with Everyman shifting thousands of years later into the future, with Everyman being a morality play. But it is similar in some ways to Hymn to the Sun, because we have, again, with Everyman, we have a play that's whole purpose is essentially for its audience to have some type of realization and to, of course, shift the error of their ways or their sinful behaviors to worship one God. So this is also a work of a monotheistic nature. And that's one reason why we discussed Hymn to the Sun first. And now we're going to be shifting to, of course, Everyman. Now, this particular work, we do not know who the author of Everyman is. Most assume likely this was a church official of some sort, but again, no authorship has ever been verified. Okay, so Everyman, it could be written by any man or any woman for that matter. Now, as far as for this particular piece, you do need to read this as if it is pure allegory. These characters, every man especially, every man is symbolic of every person alive. Also, we have apronymed characters. These are characters like fellowship. Fellowship is supposed to be symbolic of any friend, okay? Kindred and cousin, symbolic of any family member, okay? Goods, symbolic, of course, of our material possessions, okay? Knowledge, of course, the knowledge that we have in our minds, okay? Good deeds, those good things that we do for people on a day-to-day basis. So understand that this particular work, it is what's called by genre a morality play. It's a moral lesson that's to be dictated to the audience. Now, you can probably imagine this was a play that was likely presented maybe during a harvest festival, and you can probably imagine it is a dramatized sermon. It is meant to be a religious message. It would be a Christian one, of course, and you'll notice at the end of the play there's a theologian, a doctor, who kind of gives sort of a summary of the message scripturally that we are supposed to get from this particular play. Also, its major purpose was, of course, was likely for those church members or for the villagers to tithe, to give money after this particular production, okay? Now, this particular production is a play. So a play is meant to be what? Watched, okay? So I would encourage y'all, as far as, actually enjoying this particular work, you're going to notice I do have a handout that you may want to print out, okay? Now, when you click on that particular handout, this is just going to give you some basic information. Again, this is a work believed to have been written in about 1100s, likely the Middle Ages of England, somewhere in Europe. It is a morality play. It also is similar to Dante's Inferno, a psychomachia, some type of externalized dramatization of a psychological, spiritual conflict. Every man's soul is in turmoil. We don't know where he's going at the end of this journey. Is he going to heaven or is he going to hell? Which we do find out, but I'm not going to tell you yet. Also, you need to understand that a lot of the lessons that he learns are medieval lessons. Pretty much anything that veers one away from spiritual healthiness and focus and worship of God, that was considered sinful during that time period. So kind of look at those lessons in which every man gains from this particular play. Also, as I mentioned, this is meant to be not only read but also viewed. What I would encourage you to do is, you'll notice that under the modules on module 16, this is the text of the play right here. You may want to pull up the play, and you'll notice here we have the play, we have the the actual play beginning on the second page. You may want to have the play on your phone or your tablet, okay, and then watch the play. This will make it much easier for you. Click on this link right here. This is a modern production. You can either have that playing on, if you have a smart TV, you could have, this is a YouTube video. You can play this on your smart TV. You can play it on your laptop, but have the text by you, the actual play, the text version, and watch the play. And I hope that you're going to enjoy this particular work, okay? Even if you're not someone of the Christian belief system, similar to Dante's Inferno, Inferno, okay, you can appreciate the fact that an individual, an every man or an every woman, that you can be in a path of life where you recognize the error of your ways, that you're not necessarily making the best decisions for yourself. You're making decisions that are harmful, maybe even self-destructive. I know especially during this time period, okay, when a lot of us are going through very stressful events in our lives, you know, it can bring out the worst of people, or it can bring out the best in people. So sometimes it's good to read literary works like this to help us empathize with others, even if those others are authors from the Middle Ages. Okay, we can look at the spiritual, the ethical, the just overall conflicts that they have within themselves, between good and evil, between good and bad behaviors, and how we can learn from those. And again, I hope you enjoy this. This is actually probably one of my favorite plays. Now, I do want you to understand the author was likely an individual who was within the Catholic Church. So as far as the path that every man takes, the steps he takes to gain spiritual renewal, they are very much so in steps that would have been reminiscent of someone going through the steps as a Christian Catholic during the Middle Ages. And some of them are very rigid, such as scourging, actually beating yourself, okay, in a manner that, Christ was beat, of course, by the Romans. So keep that in mind. But again, I hope you enjoy this particular piece, but I highly encourage you, have the text out and watch it. Don't just read the text. You'll be snoozing within like 15 minutes. Have the text out, watch the production, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a very beautiful piece, but it's not hard to understand once you view it, and I think you need it visually to understand it, so watch it. And you do have reading questions that you may want to print out and have in front of you. It will help you in understanding the literary work. So if you're not sure of any of those reading questions, you can always contact me. They're not for a grade. As always, they're for your reading comprehension. As always, if you have questions about the text or about the play itself, I just want you to enjoy these works, and hopefully there's, a distraction during these terrible times that we're in. Thank you.